Stop it.
Where's your blooper?
Stop laughing at me. You got this big smile, I can't help
Sorry,
it.
I get excited.
Catches it all. And welcome again to another sofa safari. Myself, Brad, got Peter.
Good morning, everyone.
Trekking on the front there. Very excited to take you out this morning. Quite brisk, a little bit fresh. Winter's definitely creeping in. And as you can see behind me, we've got Squinga Dam. We decided we would start out here this morning, watch the sunrise and see if we can get any action. And already we've picked up something unusual. There was a couple of hyenas moving on the opposite side of the dam. And we've just seen an impala now that's a bit stranded on this island. So something has happened here just before we got here. We're not too sure, we're just speculating for now. But it's been a few occasions where we've sat here and the wild dogs have just popped up hunting. They do have pups at the moment, so when they are hunting, they can disperse in any direction pretty much. So it's a bit of a gamble that they'll come this side, so that's why we're just speculating for now. You can see on that dead tree in the water there is a bird perched on the right. It's called an African darter. It's quite a unique bird. It doesn't have any preen oil, so when it goes into the water, it can submerge nicely, soak up all the water in its feathers, which allows it to dive quite deep and also be a little bit more agile, catching fish, often spearing them. It's got quite a kind of weird shaped neck that acts as a spear, and they shoot out and essentially dart the fish. So you can hear some of the hippos honking there. A lot of activity with the hippos this morning as well. They must have had a long night feeding, already have come back to the dam.
Yeah, that hyena calling in the distance. So as Brad and I have been coming across this little drainage line, we picked up on some nice tracks. It is not the freshest of tracks. So we've been seeing a little bit of debris, a couple of leaf matter and some grass matter covering the tracks. But not only that, but we can get a bit of an idea of time by looking at these tracks, particularly in this area here. So once again we have the front paw of the leopard. And as we go across to the back track, you can see that there's been a lot of sand that's been kicked up over the top of that track by this much larger track. We can see a reference to my hand. It's a large animal. 4 distinct toes, which would be a hippo. Not a particularly large hippo. And hippos, as Brad was explaining a little bit earlier, hippos coming out in the evenings, feeding throughout the evenings, returning back to the water early mornings. So this would have been some point last night in the direction of the tracks is leaving the water. So it probably would have been early evening last night, possibly. Kicked sand over the tracks, so we can comfortably say that these tracks for this leopard was possibly from yesterday morning or throughout the day yesterday.
I don't know if you can see this lovely flower, this tiny little pinkish mauvey flower there. Yeah, so this is the wild sage. And I'm going to pick a bit here. It's growing like a weed everywhere here. But it's one of the most aromatic plants out here. Beautiful smell. You can also cook with it like the commercial sage. Apparently very nice to use with potatoes, pork, all that kind of stuff. But the best use is an insect repellent. So the reason is that when insects evolved with plants, they were the first to compete. So plants created a lot of chemicals to try and combat the insects, and the insects also trying to devise ways and trying to attack the plants. And some plants have evolved a step further and created a scent, aromatic scent that basically warns the insects in advance. Don't even try me, I'm poisonous. I wish you could smell this through the lens, but you're going to have to be here. So we look forward to welcoming you soon. That's, is that even?
There's lots of ingwe tracks here, bro.
That ingwe came from you. I'm sure it's that same one, man.
If this is back and forth, you might have a bumper up there. There's a lot of ingwe tracks down here.
Handbrake, please work. Earthquake chest. Bit of a roadblock. Not to worry though. Oh, kneecap.
Sure. I think it might still be attached here.
There might be a small worry here. Pete's got this. Let me help you.
If we look closely into the grass here, we have quite a well hidden little creeper, and it's got these beautiful pink flowers, kind of trumpet shaped flowers, and these are known as devil's thorn. Some people also refer to it as sheep's thorn. Where it gets the name from is the seed pod. So if you have a look here in my hand, we have the thorn, and you can see where it gets the name, the devil's thorn or the sheep's thorn. Very, very tough, very hardy seed with these two very prominent thorns sticking up on the top. And these are incredibly sharp as well as incredibly strong. So the way that these seeds are dispersed, you often with different plants you'll get seeds that are dispersed by wind or sometimes by birds or other animals feeding on them and disposing them around the area. This will work for larger mammals and quite a lot of animals with softer padding on the bottoms of their feet, even humans. As I was holding the devil's thorn seed pod here, we found a bit of a slightly drier one. This is more when they are going to be dispersed around. I'm going to use Brad as a little gimmick here. He's going to pretend he's a big elephant walking along, and he's going to stand on that thorn. So once that has been trodden on, you can see how it's stuck to the bottom of a shoe. Now that thorn can be carried for huge distances as an elephant or Brad goes wandering along through the African bushveld, and eventually it's going to come loose, dislodged and be planted elsewhere, and that's how the seed will eventually move. But what else is very, very unique about this plant, and also a very good use, is something that it's got all over. It's on the stem and in the leaves, and if you take a few of these leaves off, you can actually use this for a good form of bush soap or shampoo. And it's got very, very good use for getting rid of dandruff. So you can wash your hair with it, you can wash your hands with it, and if I move it around, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see here, there's actually quite a bit of dew on the grass this morning, so I don't actually need that much water. It forms a bit of a soap-like substance. And what's nice about this, it has no odor, and once you use it and rub it on your hands, it becomes very slimy, just like shower gel, but it also leaves no residue. So your hands will have a nice moisturizing feel to them, nice and clean, and no smell to them. So another good little bush use for you guys here this morning.
The milkweed, and one of the ways you can tell it's a milkweed is if you break one of the leaves, you can see a bit of a white milky latex appearing there. So that's actually quite a poisonous component to the milkweed. Not many animals will eat it because of that. It's very dangerous for us to eat in large quantities. It's got cardiac glycosytes, so it'll attack your heart. But there's a few insects that'll feed on this and are immune to that toxicity, and to some degree might even acquire those toxins themselves and become poisonous. Here's a beetle. I'm not sure if it's feeding on it or what this beetle's doing, but yeah, there's a good chance that beetle is poisonous. I don't know if you can pick that up in the camera, but it's got quite a goldy kind of shining appearance. Quite pretty actually, which is a warning. A lot of these insects carry aposematic coloration, which basically warns predators not to eat them. It's hard to say what this guy's secret weapon is, but I'm not going to touch him to find out. I've had plenty of bad experiences with insects doing that kind of silly things. So yeah, you don't want to play with this one. Yeah, this is our resident kind of troop. Yeah, we noticed Pete actually saw one had hiccups. It's not just something that we have to deal with. Little indigestion, I can relate to that. I wonder if you can see which one's Pezulu there.
Ingwe Highway.
Is it?
That's going both ways.
We have a lot of leopard tracks and signs of a lot of activity on the road, up and down, all over the place here. We're actually going to head towards one of the leopard's dens at the moment. Mahetelelo has got 2 cubs. It hasn't been very productive this morning. We've been listening on the radio, haven't heard many updates. It's been quiet, so there's been no visual. So what we're going to do is just give it a bash, sit there for a bit, see if we get lucky. So we've got a lovely herd of giraffe. If you want to get a bit fancy, we've got a tower of giraffe here, or a journey of giraffe. But we've got a couple of babies, one particularly small one there on the left, less than 3 months for sure, because there's still an umbilical cord attached. It usually takes about 3 months to dry up and fall off. But yeah, their horns, or their ossicones, are quite fluffy around this age, very small, got like 2 little mini afros on each side. And they're still gonna fuse. At the moment they're still very small, so they're probably cartilage. Still got to calcify, and fuse to the skull usually takes about 3 or 4 years. Pete, sorry, your shoulder's getting a little sore there, so I'm gonna slow down the facts now. So yeah, folks, we did have a look at Mahetelelo's den sites. Unfortunately, still no activity. We did get some tracks though, so we've been following up on these tracks. We had a couple of signs of the hyenas earlier with the drag mark, and we're not sure if this leopard's kill has been stolen. But we're going to try and follow up and see if maybe we get lucky. The last tracks we had were heading kind of in our area around Ulasaba airstrip. So quite fresh too. I'm going to loop around and let's see. Never hurts to have a little bit of luck sometimes. With the bush being so thick still now towards the end of May, it's still a bit tricky. But it's only going to start drying up now. You'll start seeing in the future episodes now, it's just going to get drier and drier and drier, which is also why we were focusing on the little things this morning too. But if we can get a leopard, I think that'll be very exciting. So we're not giving up just yet. One, Peter, got it. So looks like we've just found this leopard, folks. Peter's just got some eagle eyes there and managed to spot it. Mahetelelo. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous light. She's been missioning around hunting all over the place this morning, which is why it's been a bit tricky finding her. But she's more than likely kind of ambling in the direction of her den now, so she's probably going to have a last more couple of attempts. She might come through this gap. That's the beauty about also this time of the year, being a little cooler in the morning, a little later into the end of the morning. It's really helping with a bit of more activity on the predator side. Yeah, because you know, around this time in summer, it's a bit too hot and they tend to get very lethargic, sleepy around now. So
Look at her tail going. She's definitely interested in something.
leopards are very opportunistic when it comes to hunting. You know, whilst they're moving around, they've got no assistance, right? They're by themselves, so they have to take every opportunity as it comes. So we noticed that she'd veered off the road a bit whilst we were following her, and Peter saw an impala up ahead of her. So the impala didn't notice her, but while she was going in the block following this impala, she's now stopped on this termite mound. We're not sure what she's seen, if it's still the impala or now if something else has perhaps come into the equation. We know that you know, lots of animals like coming around these termite mounds. There's usually burrows around them. There could be something there that's burrowing. We're not too sure. It could even be just the case that she's getting a bit more of a height, you know, a little vantage point to see where that impala's gone. But yeah, they very much ambush hunters. So in order for her to be successful, she usually has to get quite close to her prey, which involves a lot of stalking, you know, a lot of stealth. All right, folks, so we've just caught up to Mahetelelo again. Whatever she was stalking is now gone. She's taking a bit of a break here, just pausing. She was grooving a bit. It's just giving us some great opportunities for photographs. And you can see how close we are now. Super relaxed with us. She comes from the lineage of Tlangisa. Those of you who have been here before will have known Tlangisa very, very well. She was a very relaxed leopard up in the north. And this was one of her last litters, well, her last litter. It was a male and a female. Makumu was the male. He ended up in the Sabi Sabi. I'm not sure, that was the last update I got. I'm not sure where he's head from there. But Mahetelelo's now taking over from her mother and is settled, pretty much taking the central parts of the reserve as her territory. So the so guys, no man.
It's me laughing because I got a big smile. I'm trying to stop. Okay.
Okay. Alrighty, so I mean, we were talking about focusing on a lot of the small stuff this morning, and in true Sabi-san fashion, we ended out with the leopard. So you just never know what's going to happen out here. We did have a lot of tracks and signs this morning, so that definitely did help us find her. But yeah, it's just the luck of the draw sometimes, and that was quite amazing to end off on that note. But yeah, we're going to say goodbye, folks. It's that time. Thanks for joining us once again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and hope you enjoyed our antics and adventures this morning.
Cheers, guys.